Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October 2025 edition of the Vicksburg Planning Commission and DDA meeting. Time is 7 p.m., and I will call this meeting to order. Secretary Cox, will you please take roll call attendance?
Member Riashi.
Here.
Member Plankenhorn.
Here.
Member Kissinger.
Here.
Member Bailey.
Here.
Member DeBalt.
Here.
Member Cox is here, and Chairman Schenkel.
Present. Thank you. I trust everyone has had some time to review our agenda ahead of the meeting. If there are no questions or amendments, I will call for the approval of this evening's agenda.
Member Riashi, motion to approve the agenda.
Motion from Riashi. Do we have support for that motion?
Member Kissinger, second.
Support from Kissinger. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. At this time, we will open it up for citizen comments, and it does not look like there is any citizens in the room, so we will move forward. And on to approval of minutes. And again, we did not have a meeting in September, so you're reviewing the August meeting minutes. And again, if you have any questions or amendments, call for approval of the meeting minutes from August.
Member Kissinger, motion to approve.
Motion from Kissinger. Do we have support for that motion?
Support from Blankenhorn.
Support from Plankenhorn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. This time we are on to our Planning Commission agenda items, and we have an update on the zoning project from Kyle Mucha and staff member, village manager, Mr. Mallory.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think as most of us are aware, the village is updating our zoning ordinance to be more current and reflective of the times. One of our main goals is to remove some of the 1960s, 70s, and 80s terminology, as well as really make the ordinance itself more user-friendly and streamlined. We've gone through the past 2 years as commission and made a lot of substantial edits. It's now time to kind of bring those edits more in line with other applicable state statutes, as well as really giving the ordinance itself a whole kind of facelift. So within that right now, what we want to talk about tonight is the proposed use table as well as proposed zoning districts. Currently, the village has 15 zoning districts. We're proposing to drop that down to 9. Some of the ones that we have that are currently on the books are either unmapped, meaning there is no parcel that is currently zoned that, but it's in existence on the record or the roll. And then also to help condense down some of the commercial districts, industrial districts, residential as well, in the essence that we don't need 5 residential districts for the village of our size. We can get away with 2 industrial districts, 2 commercial districts instead of 4. The current ordinance permits a lot of uses in the previous districts, so uses in the C1 are permitted in the C2, C2, C3. It builds on each other, which becomes cumbersome and confusing. So with that, we've gone through and listed out newer terminology for the uses, and then they would coincide with the proposed zoning district. On this table as well, SL stands for special land use, so that would require additional scrutiny and consideration by the Planning Commission as well as a public hearing. The asterisk that's on there as well would indicate additional conditions. So like an adult daycare may have fencing requirements or room requirements. So within the revised ordinance, we would have separate standards in addition to the general zoning district requirements. That also comes into play for another one, like essential services may have different standards than you would see for a home or something to that nature. So that's what the asterisk stands for. And then the P on here, as in Paul, is listed for permitted. So it'd be permitted by right, able to go forward with it as long as they can meet the standards of that district and any other applicable regulations in there. If there is nothing listed in the box, that means it's not permitted in that district. So if that's helpful. So in essence, what we've done is shorten down the districts to include PR, so preservation, which lists 4 or 5 land uses within there. That might be something to our nature of like our parks, for preservation or some of the sensitive wetland areas. And then we move into our residential districts. We are reclassifying them to get away from the terminology of family to go to more single unit. That's kind of across the state and the country as well, to shift that terminology to be more inclusive. So that's why you'll see single unit instead of family. Same thing moving forward with single and 2 unit residential, multi-unit residential, and then manufactured, which would be MH. The C1 we're proposing for village commercial is more of our focus on our downtown core area. And then the C2 is more of our corridor commercial, so more the wings of the village itself. I1 and I2, respectively, light industrial and heavy industrial. So those are the districts that we're proposing for consideration in the updated zoning ordinance. And then again, the different uses throughout here. We are trying to open up the use table, allow for more of a administrative interpretation. As our current standards, we have some references still to like a barber shop, a dairy, a bakery. We want to move those more into retail operations. That way we don't have to guesstimate of what it might fit the best in, especially as we get new uses or people who want to invest in the village. We don't want to have to go through there and determine, well, I think this kind of sounds like this use in here, and then make that, potential interpretation outside of our mandate. So therefore, we've really tried to help broaden the categories and allow for more of a inclusive type use. Personal services or professional services could be the doctor's offices, dental offices, eye doctor, those type of categories. Gallery studios is on here. We have museum on here as well to allow for the establishment of, those types of operations. Restaurants we've shortened up into eating establishments, including dine and carry out, and then a separate use of drive-through. And then vehicle we have in here, dealership, filling station, that's gas station or fuel station, repair and wash, again with separate additional standards on that. So the wash standard may be, put vacuums on the non-residential side if it's abutting a residential district. So that's in essence what we've looked at. Once the commission is generally acceptable with the districts that we proposed and the uses, our intent then is to move these into the zoning ordinance. So then each new district that we create or reclassify will have a separate subsection in the new ordinance listing these uses. We're also going to include the dimensional standards for these districts within that subsection as well. And I'll have examples of that probably at our next meeting. And then we're going through, still updating definitions to bring those more in line with 2025, updating the site plan review criteria based on everything that was approved last year, special land uses similar, and going through and really trying to shorten down the ordinance to make it more searchable, easy to use, so that way if we do get any stakeholders or residents who want to come in here and invest in the village, they're able to more easily locate what they need to instead of having to hunt, peck, and search for all this. So that's in the broad brushstrokes of what we're doing here. I guess the feedback we're looking for, working with staff, and I'll let Mr. Mallory speak further on this, is the commission generally good with the guidance we're giving on the proposed districts? And then are there any uses that have been shown in here that we need to be further discussed, or any uses that you do not see on here that you would like to add or have questions on where it may fit? And I'll ask Mr. Mallory to offer any additional context here.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Kyle. I appreciate what you said. I also, part of the discussion specific to downtown in particular would be, we're looking to see what the optimal size of a short-term, whether you want to call it a hotel room, a B&B type situation, but we know it's under the current 600 square foot. We're looking at different type of layouts, anywhere from 300 to 450 square foot in our downtown corridor for short-term stays in our downtown. So input on that you might have. Also, there's no action items or decisions. We just wanted to make sure that we were receiving or offering the opportunity to have input on these different topics Kyle's brought up.
Because these will really drive a lot of the rest of the ordinance as well. So if we're not content or happy with this, that will impact how we establish other provisions once the ordinance is established. Items, like I said, site plan review, parking, landscaping, those will all be, addressed separately within the ordinance. But the uses, additional considerations for particular uses and the districts themselves will be dependent on, really how this commission feels, if they feel like we've captured what we need to within this use table. And then this use table, once we are set, will be also in the ordinance itself, so that way it's easy to reference, along with listing the uses with conditions and special land uses in each district. So if you want to go to, the PR district, you can flip to that in the new ordinance. You'll see the uses permitted, all the dimensional standards for lot sizes, setbacks, and any other considerations we need to put in there. So really trying to, in essence, get everything that you may need if you want to build or do something in this district within the confines of that chapter or subsection itself.
Kyle, a couple questions. This just popped into my head, just kind of talking about residential. Do short-term rentals play into the zoning at all, or is that really a use?
Yes, it can.
Okay.
There's a few facets, Mr. Schenkel, we'd like to look at with that. Mr. Mallory, myself, and a few others are going to further discuss that internally of how best to proceed. Some communities have regulations for them, some have very stringent regulations for them, others don't. So we will internally discuss further what the best pathway forward is on that.
Okay.
As an example, like the city of Saugatuck has very strict regulations on short-term rentals, but I want to.
Yeah, I mean, this is, our goal is to, would love to have an ordinance of oversight on this, and absolutely no later than the spring of '26, preferably before. But I certainly, and we'll be in front of the planning commission on this topic alone, but I have no problem listening right now to members' thoughts on that, whether, you see a need for oversight and regulation and ordinance, and your thoughts on that.
I mean, I'll share really quickly. I think it is important. Is that handled at the planning commission level, or is that the city commission or the village?
It would be
Council.
ordinance through the village council,
Yeah, okay.
but we would seek input.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we're probably all very aware of just short-term rentals in general, and when an attractive place comes on the market and short-term rentals become popular, if you don't have ordinances, you can kind of get overrun pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's probably safer to have those in place and have a playbook versus not, and having to do like a retrofit for it. So those would be my comments for staff.
Anyone else have comments on
The other question I had for you, Kyle, is, I can't think of anything right now in terms of a use, but what happens if a use comes later that isn't listed? Does that just come before the planning commission and we determine that use is a viable use for the zoning that it's in?
So that's where we initially tried to have these broad enough that
Right.
we can do that. If it's going to be a very specific use, we can either do a text amendment to allow for it. Not as common, but you could also, you have the ability to apply for a interpretation through the ZBA for what the use is. I mean, there's pros and cons to that. So if it's not something that's listed in here and we see, the potentials of it being good, bad, or however we want to describe it, in that case, then we try to be more proactive and say, all right, we had this inquiry on it. We think we could start seeing this here. We want to, provide for provisions in that. While probably unlikely, but not impossible. I mean, we don't have data centers listed on here, but, and I don't want to speak for Mr. Mallory, but they require a ton of energy, a ton of water usage, a ton of land. So it's not as feasible, but I mean, but that is not listed in here.
Yeah.
And some of these are also based on the availability of land that we have within the village. While I don't want to, speak out of turn, it'd be great to have more investment in our industrial district. We also are limited by the size that we have. So some larger facilities that may want to come, we're beholden to the available land as well.
I'm probably looking more at like the process and like how does that process work? So does that, let's say that a skydiving business comes to us, right? And they want to put a skydiving business in the middle of downtown. Does the staff and you kind of review that and put a recommendation forward to this body? Is that how that would work?
Yeah. If it would be classified as, a retail operation or, potentially recreational in that regard, no, but, indoor or outdoor, then in this case, it would be under our use table considered a special land use in the C1 and C2 district. So we would first determine what is it closely related to and does it comfortably fit within our definitions. If not, that's when we would have that discussion of, all right, we've received inquiries about this. We probably should have something for it in case it ever does come. Then we'd, look at amending the use table to include that.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from the planning commission regarding the zoning map and
So
recommendations from
The
staff?
maps were provided for just reference, so you as a commission can understand what our current standards and districts are. You can see that a few of them, like I mentioned earlier, are not mapped on there. I think we have one parcel that's C4, everything else is C2, nothing for C1 or C3. So that's where we're trying to make it more viable by condensing those. So as a reference point, as you look through the use table of where some of these may fit in our current zoning district. So once the new districts are established and set, then we would come forward also as part of this process with a updated zoning map to reflect those changes as well. So then our timeline moving forward, next month we'd ask Mr. Mallory if we could present more on other sections of the ordinance that we have drafted with the intent of getting, a full draft copy, hopefully first or second month of the year in front of you. But we have,
Yeah, don't you foresee each meeting between now and then a presentation on?
Yes, sir.
To solicit input from,
yeah. And some of those items, Mr. Schenkel, too, we've already discussed in the past with the slew of amendments we did last year. So we'll take those and build off of those, maybe make some minor modifications, but I don't foresee those being hours-long presentations because we've gone through them before. This was one we thought maybe more of discussed because it will build the blocks for us moving on. And then, as Mr. Mallory indicated, coming forward the next few months, we'll have other sections. So it may be a lot to review, but ultimately it won't be a lot substantial because of the amendments we've already done. So really, what our team's looking for on the back end is there any concerns with the districts proposed? And then are there any uses that are not listed on here that you had concerns with or that you would like to discuss why it's in that district? We can continue to bring this back, over the next few meetings, but eventually we would like to get this kind of dialed in to where we feel comfortable with it. So. And we're also focusing on the requirements too for the RRC to make sure that we're meeting their standards as well. So.
Kyle, I noticed that the agricultural one is going away.
We're gonna most likely consider it, put that into the preservation.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And we'll continue to work with staff in regards to how we would lay out the zoning map and confirm that the reclassification actually does meet the intent of that property and try to help clean up more of the discrepancies that we've already started to go forward with, so. But it will be a new zoning map entirely, so. Most will not change, most will just have a different designation, but there might be some cleanup parcels that we do throughout, so.
All right. Any further comments or questions from the planning commission? All right. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
We'll move on to our DDA portion of our agenda, and we have a DDA annual meeting review.
Yeah, this is a pretty brief, and, you know, we just like to always highlight the downtown development district and the activities. In the past year, we had the public benefit grant program. We had the paint program, as well as the investment to hold our events downtown through the DDA's contributions in those efforts. And most people on this board are well aware of the amount of investments, especially in the Hills building, are certainly approaching $6 million. But I think it's noteworthy to look at the impact that it has. You'll notice that there's another high-low that's been positioned downtown, and Jaspers is going to do a complete facade upgrade on their two buildings that will start, probably started tonight, but will continue for the next 10 to 14 days. So we're looking forward to seeing that transformation of those two buildings downtown to continue what's going on. And this is your opportunity to ask any questions. We'll get into some of the economic impact that having the downtown events has on our local businesses, as well as update you in the Berg Bucks program that originated out of this group. We've had multiple retail establishments sign up. We will continue that through this week. And, you know, I'll pause to see if there's any questions and continue on that topic, though. First on the Berg Days, we had nine days in our partnership with Discover Kalamazoo. We look at devices in town that are not a home type location, so basically outside the 49097 area code. So we want to see the draw of people from outside the community coming to the community, which on average was about 2,900 devices. And we believe there would, you can add 1,000 to that of local residents participating in those events. So we conservatively believe 30 to 40,000 people attended the 9 Berg Day events throughout the year, or throughout the summer. Very, very conservative economic impact would put that at about $500,000 on the local businesses. To the retail establishments downtown, the core sampling of those establishments were on Wednesdays, that their businesses would be up 50 to 60% from non-Berg Day Wednesdays. Many and multiple businesses talked about how they would be able to pay their expected liabilities and bills just from the one night a week. But then we looked at return trips to Vicksburg, and we took specific businesses within Vicksburg, comparing them to other businesses in other communities to see how they would fare on traffic, both on Friday and Saturday nights, and very, very positive data. And we feel that 8 to 10% increase in foot traffic in Vicksburg on Friday to Saturday nights are attributed to those 2,900 to 3,000 people that are here on Wednesdays, get exposed to our community, and then come back on the weekend to enjoy what Vicksburg has to offer. So the short of it is we feel the events downtown have a incredible positive impact on Vicksburg, the village reputation. I was contacted by Channel 3 at about 3 o'clock this afternoon and provided them with an interview that will occur tonight at 11 o'clock, but it was specific to them attending 2 or 3 other municipal meetings, and within those meetings, positive comments being discussed about Vicksburg and our downtown events. So it was an interview on that, as you know, and I think that's the untold measurement. I think we've turned the community conversations well beyond Vicksburg village limits in a very positive manner about the village. And we welcome everyone, just even if they're curious, to come to see what we have to offer. So it's definitely, I view it as an investment and not an expense to hold these events. There's a lot of, we had it highlighted in the local paper this month. There's a lot behind the scenes, and a big gratitude to our Department of Public Works and Police Department that pull these things off pretty seamlessly. So I'll pause there and talk about Berg Days or economic impact.
Personally, I'd like to prompt our 2 business owners and just get your anecdotal feedback on Berg Days and its impact. Member Plankenhorn, John?
Yeah, I mean, I can just echo what Jim said. It's been huge for us every Wednesday. I mean, it's hands down busiest day of the week. I mean, my employees particularly love it because they reap the benefits of that as well. So yeah, it's been excellent for us.
Did you ever think that you would say Wednesday is the busiest day of the week?
No,
for you?
no. But yeah, I mean, it's fun because you see people coming from other like local areas. So Pawpaw, Otsego, you know, and they come down and then they continue to come down. Now I've got people that say they like drive from Sturgis because they've like heard about something happening in Vicksburg. So yeah, it's definitely had a huge impact.
It's been very uplifting, actually. Even though we are not open during the Berg Days evenings, the impact of people downtown see the businesses and the weekly business, especially on the weekends. We know our customers, and when you see lots of new faces every weekend, that means they were downtown during the week. Yeah. So, and that's been a great impact on the weekends and stuff, and the daily business. If I had more staff, yeah, we'd probably be open. But being a family business and what we are, the 8 hours or 10 hours I'm there is all I can do. But the impact that we get through the week of seeing the new faces are the people that come down on those functions. So much happy to have them.
Cool. Thanks
And
for sharing.
thank you again. One of the things I wanted to mention is when we first started this, we were very questionable about when we started closing the streets down. Closing the streets down later at the 1 o'clock time have been majorly different as far as the traffic coming in on those Wednesdays. So thank you again for, it takes a while to figure out what it is and how much time you have to get stuff down and get stuff out of the streets, and they're doing a great job. The DPW does a great job of straightening things up and moving stuff around. And it's nice to come in the next morning and it looks like nothing was even there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Those that weren't at the Vicksburg Town Hall meeting that we had here in town last, I think Tuesday or Wednesday, through the chamber, when we did kind of a show of hands of those that were from outside of the community that have attended a Berg Days. I mean, it was, 70% of the hands went up, right, that were from outside of the community. So I think at the end of the day, I know this event is about our community, but it's also to raise, awareness about, what a great place this is to be, and whether you're living here or just spending time here. So I think that's great that we're attracting other markets to come visit. And then I think there's opportunities that are out there. I know we do a lot of great things, for kids as far as activities, whether it be painting or, coloring and whatnot. I think there's other adult activities out there that I think might even help even more. I've heard, from the Kalamazoo Candle Company, like they said that they would be interested in, coming down and, people can make candles. I mean, there's the Cherries chocolate art that you can come down and make chocolate. I think there's more ways to engage the over 18 crowd as well, which again then attracts a new market and just gives you a little bit something more to do than to to eat and drink, and just to help again lift up other companies in our community. So
Yeah,
as we think about moving forward, look, what does next year look like? Are there ways to enhance the experience a little bit?
Yeah, I think those are all great suggestions. I think it's noteworthy. The majority of us have been in this community now going, some of us 30 years, some of us longer, is the event last Tuesday was the Kalamazoo Chamber holding their meeting, town hall, in Vicksburg, Michigan for the second time. And their leadership relaying that it's one of their most attended from the Kalamazoo Chamber's standpoint. I think we had 65 people from the greater geographical Southwest Michigan area to have Vicksburg highlighted. I guess I'll give a public gratitude for the mill and opening up the Hills buildings to hold that event. And I think those are excellent suggestions and ideas, and might be a more appropriate time in other settings, but I think it's noteworthy that we need to put out there, we have a non-existent chamber in this village. We're a staff of 2 right now, Christian and I. It's just like the Berg Bucks program. Government went out and secured $25,000 to stimulate Vicksburg's economy. I can't find a reason why a business in Vicksburg wouldn't be appreciative and sign up for that program, to be a recipient of that pool of money. It's atypical, non-typical of a government this size to continue to take the lead in stimulating the local economy. So comments are comments. I stand by them. Some of the businesses need to step to the plate and do their part.
Great comments, everyone. Thank you. Appreciate that. I think just in wrapping up the Berg Days, it's been a huge stimulus, and can't thank the staff enough for the work that goes into that each year and how much it benefits our village, our slice of the county. All right.
Yeah, leading into, and that then this was our 3rd year in a row for the Senior Berg Day, which really started out kind of on a challenge. Some people, and one person in particular, showed up, and it's turned into quite, I feel, an event. We had nearly 200 seniors participate this year at the pavilion on a Thursday afternoon, and was a good time. We had a lot of vendors in the senior services area there to give information, and like a lot of these events, we're kind of figuring things out on how to make it efficient and that. So, but it's always a good time. Very much a public gratitude goes to Frederick Construction for their support of that program. Their entire staff was down there helping serve the food, so we really appreciated that. But that was the Thursday after Labor Day, and had many people from outside the area, and very positive comments that we do that for our senior crowd. And then we certainly want to get word out. Christmas in the Burg is December 13th, starting about noon, and with activities for families and people of all ages, with the highlight always being the parade, scheduled to start at 6 p.m., but coming through downtown. So we're challenging people to participate in the parade and come up with floats, or if you just want to walk with your group in the parade, to contact us. And I'm looking for a very, very positive event there in December, and I appreciate Christian leading that group, and John DeBalt's heavily involved in that, so thank you. And Rachel and Nick and everyone else. So
Went on that?
yes, absolutely.
Rachel's kind of take the lead on this right here, but she started a new flyer. We've had a couple meetings that we're putting it together. She started one. You can take a look at this flyer that we're putting together. One of the things Nick said tonight, it might be something to think about, Rachel, is reaching out to candle making. Okay, we've been brainstorming each other to find out different things we could bring into the village during that event to enhance it, keep going and making it bigger and bigger. So
maybe the candle making would be great. I do want to know that we do have somebody in town that has a candle lab. So maybe we could highlight her to make sure that we drive business.
Can I ask, who is it?
Zoja.
Oh.
Yep, she's got a candle lab in her business.
And I don't know if the pottery place would think of that too, you know, because she made cups one year. Everybody got their own cup made that year. One year they did that. So there's lots of different things. We're always looking for information or different things to do. We're talking about, we're trying to solidify a place for the farmer's market, which will probably be moved over to the Methodist Church. They've been real happy about us working with them. We have a lot of other functions going on, the animal scenes going in down at the church as well. We're working on trying to get the reindeer in. We have the trolley and the horse and wagon rides and the hay wagon to take them through the Christmas card lane. So there's quite a few stuff going on, but we'd like to add more to the parade itself. So we're trying to reach out to bring other communities into the Vicksburg, because we know how Vicksburg is growing and people want to be here. So Rachel's been great about reaching out to those. So
Jim, is there a place online where people can apply to have their float or
Yeah, we have a float
organization?
application on our website.
On the
But
website.
we'll tomorrow send that out to our email distribution list and text distribution.
Maybe we can make a social media push.
Yeah. So it'll be sent to everyone on our email distribution list.
our next meeting is the 26th, 27th
Yep.
at 9:30.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
All right, village manager report, there is no report.
It pretty much was what we just covered.
Covered it all already. All right, on to member comments from the planning commission. Jim, just a clarifying question. So was the DDA yearly meeting review, was that today? Was that what
Yes.
that was? Okay. I didn't know if that was coming, if that was a different thing. Good. Yeah, just kind of reiterating another successful year of Berg Days and just how important that is to a village our size. I lived in Otsego for a while, was on the planning commission of DDA, and the biggest thing that we were talking about was how do we draw people to our town, and it was not easy. And by far, Vicksburg is the shining light for smaller communities in Michigan and probably across the nation for recipe for success in that. So again, kudos to our staff and village manager on all the work that goes into that.
Thank you.
All right, the time is now 7:40 and I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone.